I started this year with 6 books, and I'll be leaving this year with 9 books. That's quite incredible, isn't it? But last year I didn't release a book, but what people probably may not realize is the work that was going on behind the scenes on multiple manuscripts. I was working on different projects, just never finished one. So it was always going to be that this year they would all come one after another. It's obviously still work to be done. It's not like it's just a simple task of saying, "Oh, it's finished." I've got still a lot of work, but the foundation's already been built. It's already chapters, so it's just sometimes a case of me edit what I've got, but also so fine tune, but add more. I've always got different topics in mind. So one's finished. We've got it out there on the right hand side. Follow your dreams to spark your soul. That's finished. That come out at the end of January, which surprised me because I was thinking the end of February. But once I put my mind to it, I really do. I go flat out. I'm a bit of a lunatic like that. But yeah, I mean, obviously, the more you do it, the more you get used to it doing it. So the next book on the left hand side here, we got Freedom and Politics. That's due to come out July. So if you go on my website, for instance, I made a note. I've made a note that here, look, 3 books releasing 2026. We was expecting it for July. But in all honesty, I think it could come out anywhere between the end of March and perhaps even Easter between that period, I think, personally. I think the end of March is probably a bit ambitious, but I surprised myself that when I put my mind to something, I really do go flat out. And I didn't want to be like that, having just been like this before to release the last book. I thought I'd give myself a bit of a grace period. But when the spark comes, I like to throw myself into it because there are periods when, if anyone saw my journey last year, I do lose the passion sometimes. And if I'm not feeling it, I won't force it. So I think when the spark's there, it's like just take it and go with it. Because the reality is, and this might seem a bit extreme, no one can guarantee tomorrow. You just can't. So the idea that you put things off and think I'll do that later or I'll do that later, you can't guarantee anything. So if I'm capable of doing it, then I really should do it. And hopefully that's motivation to other people to say go after your dreams and just do whatever you feel called to do while you have the time and capacity to even attempt to achieve something. So that's what I'm doing. I'm not waiting for the world to catch up with my work. That's nor here nor there. So there is a frustration there from my part that I feel success should have come already. But at the same time, I'm not waiting for the world to notice me. I'll just keep building because there's going to be a day, and I think it's coming, where the work I do slows down. Right now, the next 3 books are my priority. After that, I'll see where the wind blows because I think at that point, I've done the majority of the work I plan to do in my lifetime. There might be creative pursuits I try to do, like I may tinker with a novel in the future. I really don't know. But I think fundamentally, these are the books I want. So we've got the one recently, which if anyone's going through an identity crisis in their life, they're going through even traumas, you feel frustrated, anything to do with personal growth and empowerment. I'm not overdoing. I'm going to share a portion of this book in a moment. Follow your dreams to sparkle your soul. We're going to do maybe the first 3, the introduction or the author's note. Then we'll probably do the first 3 chapters, and then I'll leave it there. So you get a taste of really what the book's about. But I don't say things lightly. I really don't. And people will judge for themselves. But if it was someone else's work and I was reading it, I'd consider it a masterpiece. So I do consider it a masterpiece, and I wouldn't say that because I know that what that's going to look like to someone else. Someone's going to read it, be even more critical. But for me, this is the book. Like so far from what I've done, if anyone is curious, like for instance, when you got 7 books out at this point, and they think, where do I start? I would suggest Follow Your Dreams to Sparkle Your Soul is a good place to start. I think it's incredible. I love it so much. And if you're interested in a spiritual path and deeper aspects as to why we're here and the world around us to a degree, I think Lose Your Mind to Find Your Soul, those 2 at the very least would be great. And then the others add layers, But for me, if you want to, or if you want to know more about my life path, what I've been through, their father's daughter will have showcased the actual document, the trauma I went through, the certain thing. But realistically, I would say start with Follow Your Dreams to Sparkle Your Soul and Lose Your Mind to Find Your Soul. The 2 books, separate, different topics. Yeah, I don't like, people know me, I don't like plugging things, but for me, that's not a plug. If someone genuinely wants to change their life, they want to empower themselves and they want to go after their dreams, and they don't want people taking advantage of them anymore. Read Follow Your Dreams to Spark Your Soul. Simple as that. There's no making excuses in life, and I see that all too often where people don't feel empowered. They make excuses as to why is life hard, why they can't get out of this situation. Reality is, you can either get out of that situation or stay miserable. And I'm just saying, for about £15, I think it's $15, $16, it can change your life. And I wouldn't say that lightly. So what's the price So if I was writing a novel, the book would be cheaper. But I consider this like a therapy session for people. It's really going to help them elevate their life. So for me, it's a bargain. And of course, I sacrifice for what I do. Now, the next book that comes out is completely separate to them. So I do understand that if you was working on a project, people would naturally wait for the next book thinking, oh, might as well get the new one. I wouldn't always say the new one's always going to be better than the previous ones. I love all my books. But of course, I know the niche. I know what area they all go in. So if you was to buy, for instance, Freedom and Politics when it comes out, it is different to the other two books. So you're going to get, with Freedom and Politics, I'm so excited about this, which is why I'm throwing myself into it. So it's likely that the videos are going to either stop or slow down drastically now because I can be everywhere at once, but I don't really want to. So when my mind's focused on the book, for me, anything I come up with in my mind, it should go in this book. Because that's where my mind will be going now, It won't be going in personal growth or spirituality for a period. It's going to go into the world as a whole, our place in it, and also like how we can. It's really opening people's eyes to the world from the past to a degree, and where we can see ourselves in the future on the current trend, and how you can alter your path. So really, it's a humanitarian book. This one, it's actually quite impressive. I'm really excited about going down this path. But what I would say is, if you're looking for a personal exploration of yourself and you want to elevate your life, then that book isn't necessarily the book. That's more looking at the world as a whole and maybe how we can contribute towards healing this planet and moving more towards peace and building a better life for the next generations. So that's more about the world as a whole, our role in it. So, like I say, the other books have their specific niches. So waiting for that would be a bit pointless if you need to get healing. So all these books, of course, are going to exist together. And it's up to people what they're interested in at a given moment, isn't it? But yeah, this book is going to be, I think, incredibly healing for the world. Now, I can't say how great it is until I've finished it, can I? But I'm really excited about it. So I think it's going to be pretty impressive, personally. And I don't say things lightly. It's too. Why would I put undue pressure on myself and fail? It's a stupid thing to do. But if I'm confident in something, I'll say it. And so far, I think it's going to be really, really good. I don't want to reveal too much because you do get copycats in the world, don't you? You come up with an original concept and you get someone that thinks. Partly why I'm excited to do it anyway, because I've put certain parts of my ideas already out there. Anyone that tries to copy in any way, I'm so fast at creating. Like, it's ridiculous when I put my mind to something. So even if someone thought, oh, I like the idea of that, by the time they're even trying to work on it, I've already finished. And that's partly why, part of me's thinking, just get it finished and you're done. So, I know a lot of people like using AI and shit. I don't use AI. I don't like it. I can work as fast as AI anyway. Well, probably not quite as fast because AI, I think, is instant a lot of the time, probably garbage. There's no fact checking or anything, is there? But I can do a lot in a day. It's quite impressive personally. And I don't say it lightly, but I can do upwards to about 5,000 words a day when I really push it. Really, 2,000 quite easy for me. So really, I do between 2,000 and 5,000 a day, depending on the topic and how confident I am on that topic and how it just flows. So if it's a topic where maybe I've got to stop and pause, maybe cite some references and quote some things, that's going to take a bit longer. So I wouldn't expect such a high turnover. But if it's me talking about something I have a deep knowledge of and it's just in me, then it'll just flow onto the page. I mean, it's quite obvious anyway. If you watch my videos, I tend to reach an hour. I don't know how many words that is, but I think if that was a word count, I think that's usually about 15,000 words or something. So if I can produce 15,000 words in a video, then you best believe I can sit down and type 5,000 words in a day. Now, it doesn't mean I'll always do that output, but I just think while I feel productive, it's a good chance for me to do that and explore the world. There's certain topics already flashing into my mind that I want to document. So there's already a lot of work done. There's a lot I've got to do to this book. So don't think for a moment it's anywhere near finished. It's not the case at all. I've already just started the preparation and work. Some chapters are further on than others, but what I need to do now is segregate it. It's the first book I've ever done where I'm going to have to compartmentalize everything. So it's going to be in parts. Okay, I don't want to give too much away, but I think maybe it'd be helpful to people. So I'm going to have a humanitarian section. So there'll be like a title, like so you'll go through the book, and then we'll reach a bit where maybe it just has the word humanitarian on one page, which means there's another part. Now we're going to go on to humanitarian topics. That'll be there. If we're going to go on politics, it'll be like politics. Anything after the word, after that title, that on its own, it's politics after this. So that's how I'm going to separate. This book's going to be segregated in that way because I think it'd be easy for people then to flick back and forward between the book. They'll know what area they're in the book. And it makes it easier for me to structure it as well. So I know I've done enough content on each section of the world. And I'm really excited about it. The main part I'm excited about is the humanitarian side. It's something I feel passionate about myself. It's more about, that's intensely about healing, isn't it? Healing the world. So it is documenting inspiring humanitarians from the past. There is going to be another section where it's almost humanitarian, but it's not. But it would be my take on the world in the sense of the things I think can be improved. And again, that's something I'm deeply passionate about. So that'll be things that I'm thinking about anyway. How do I think the world could improve? You know, and how would the future generations like it? And what could we change? So if we hadn't had the regimes and the way society is structured today, and it was reset, and we didn't have all these rules, what would be a good way to live? What would be fair and balanced? You know, I'm thinking like that. So it's going to show a disparity between the world we live in now, the corruption and power and greed. Then it will share how I see the world and what it should look like. And then I'm also going to share inspiring humanitarians as well. So it's not all doom and gloom. That's the whole point. We start off with, this is how the world is, and it'll feel familiar. But by the end of the book, hopefully people will feel a bit more excited, a bit more liberated, and know the powers within them to contribute and change this world for the better. And it's up to us to live outside of the structure that exists as it is today. So en masse, we can change so much. And even as an individual, you know. So like I say, I'm really excited about it because it's something I feel called to do in my lifetime anyway. So I don't expect that to be a series. I've got different series, you see. So we've got, if we scroll down a little bit here, we've got my father's daughter series. There was going to be a third one. It's so personal, and I don't want to keep regurgitating the past. So I wrote half of a book for the third book, but I feel it just keeps digging at a situation it doesn't need to be digged at. The first book is going through family court and the trauma that's involved in that. The second book is what happens after family court and the naivety within the system to expect parties to get along, and it ought to be hunky-dory. But anyone who's been through the system will understand that. You're just left to your devices and it's chaos. The third one was going to be more about years after that and how things sometimes it doesn't still heal, but there's other areas where maybe it has improved, and it just gives a balanced perspective for all the way through. But I don't really want to go through it. I may still release it next year, perhaps, if I decide it's worth my time and energy. Right now, if you look, ever since I wrote those books, I've gone on a massive path in a different direction. So leaning back into it isn't really on my priority right now. So we've got a spiritual book here. Then we've got my personal growths and empowerment books. We're all the way up to these. Then we're going to have the one I just said there, Freedom and Politics. Really excited. I'm just going to throw myself into it over the next month now. See where the chips fall. But this is going to be my contribution now to humanity. So the other books, of course, have been about empowerment to people. And it is empowering, you know, so it is healing humanity on an individual basis. But this is going to be this new one is going to be a take on my vision for the world. So, yeah, I think I consider that a one-off book. I don't envisage, although I never envisaged any of them expanding into multiple books. It was always one book. Oh, got more to say on that topic, I'll do more. But with this one specifically, Freedom and Politics, I don't expect that to be a series. I see that as a one-off. So I'm going to do my best to just put everything on the line in that book. And, you know, it's almost like once it's done, it's done. You know, I see far too many people who try to do kind things in the world, have their life taken away early. And I've always felt that the things I do, it does put a target on my back, but it hasn't stopped me. Look at me, I'm just going I'll keep going hell for leather. So I kind of have that in my back of my mind. If anything was to ever happen, which I'm not scared of, otherwise I would never have continued down the path I'm on and even publicly talk about this one. But I'm making sure that the work exists anyway. So if I was to delay it for a year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever, you just never know if it'll ever see the light of day. Let's make sure we see it. So I work ridiculously fast, so nothing can interfere with what I do. There's so many reasons as to why I get things done quick. But if I feel called to do something, I just do it. So anyway, we've got the Freedom and Politics book coming out. I would say by Easter. I actually think it could come earlier. It really depends how passionate I am, how much I'm prepared to sacrifice. So if I start working on it a bit more, because I've been doing little bits here and there at the moment, like 2,000 words here, 1,500 words there. A couple of days where I've not done anything for the past couple of days, but it's been ruminating in me. So I just feel like I'm going to sit down and start sacrificing. And if I can consistently sacrifice day after day after day, then obviously I'm getting closer and closer to finishing it. Although it's still a long way to go. I'm not trying to make it seem like it's nearly finished. It's not. But the idea is already there. I know where it's going. I know what I want to do with it, and I have a vision for this book. And I'm confident I can produce it because I've done enough already. So anyway, that will come out. I don't think any later than Easter. I really don't. I'm prepared to sacrifice right now for a 2-week period. And, I don't mind. If things come up in between, I don't care because it was always July. So even if anything comes in the way, it's fine. But the more I get done in a short period of time, the easier it is to get it finished sooner. There's less pressure on me that way. And then after that one's done, we've got the spiritual book. And that is really heavily... That one is far more developed right now than this one. So once this one's done, that book, if I was to commit to it, would easily be finished within a month. That book, easily, the spiritual book. I'm not going to overlap them that quick. I think this Follow Your Dreams, Sparkle Your Soul releasing at the end of January, I think to have another book come out March is a bit close. But like I say, because of what it means, I will release it as soon as it's finished. Because I think all of my books are bigger than me, but in that instance, I think it's quite huge in the impact it can have way beyond my lifetime. So I want to make sure it sees the light of day. Nothing gets in the way and obstructs it. So let's get that finished and we'll see where we're up to. Then I will get the spiritual book done. Now, with that one, I haven't decided. I really haven't decided on how that's going to be in terms of dates. Because I know what I'm like. I keep saying if anyone's aware of my journey, because I've been doing this journey for a while, and I know there's some people that would be familiar with me and some that won't. I've always been productive, incredibly productive spring. Spring is like my go time. It's really strange with me, but I have patterns of behavior like, well, when I'm more productive. Doesn't mean I follow a certain pattern continuously, because it doesn't mean I can't operate in the winter. But I do. It's kind of strange because I hibernate more in the winter. Like, I don't like doing anything in the winter. I'm like a freaking bear or a hamster or something. I don't know. I just, I like chocolate, so I'll just binge on shit and I'll just enjoy my life in the sense that I'm just, I'm in my own little bubble and I don't want to work on projects in that period. And I don't want to do anything. I just want to freaking exist for the most part. The whole reason I say that is, if this book comes out, let's say Easter, but let's say it drags out till July, which I don't think it will at all. And then I say, right, I'm going to release the next book at the end of the year still as planned. Realistically, if we look at what happened last year, I didn't release any books. I could have had this Follow Your Dreams to Sparkle Your Soul out about August, really. I could have had that done. I kept talking about it around then, but I kept thinking, I don't really want to. I don't want to put the energy in right now. I'm burnt out from everything I've done over the years. I wanted a break for me, And then I kept delaying. And then because it hit the months where I really don't usually want to operate in that, work into that extreme, I didn't do it. I started getting a bit excited around about November, but then there's delays, and it's like, because of life, certain things in life. So it come out January. So my point being, if I don't work on the spiritual one as soon as I can, really, after the other one, and I delay it and say, right, I'll finish it later, there's a chance it gets knocked to the following year, which isn't the end of the world. But when I know how developed it is, it would just be such a waste of time. So when this Freedom Politics book's done, it's likely, depending how burnt out I am, because when you just finish a project, you don't want to just go straight into something else. We'll see where I'm up to. I may work on them in unison, which, might seem insane, but I could do, just give myself a break from one, jump on the other, and it'll mean that they could both be similarly finished by the end, So then I've got a decision to make. I obviously wouldn't overlap them, but I could even do a pre-order for that book, because I get fed up with pre-orders having that stringent timeline, where I have to have it done by this date, and it's, again, I'm a bit more free-flowing and whimsy, follow my heart and I do what I feel called to do at a given time. But let's say the manuscript's finished and it's ready to release, but it's so close to the release of the new one, the Freedom Politics, I might set a pre-order and just say, right, this one's first book came out end of January, Freedom and Politics is coming out, maybe Easter. Then I might say, okay, the spiritual book's going to come out at the end of July or something, or I might even put it back later to the year, but already submit the manuscript, have it absolutely finished, and then let people pre-order it if they want, but then let it automated release. I'll probably end up doing that. I'm not sure yet. Yeah. Because a lot of work's done, It's just this one isn't. This one is of all of them I had to do the work, this one's the least developed. So my Folly of Dreams, Spark Your Soul, I had a lot of chapters. I cut some chapters because I wasn't happy with the quality, or it's just an extra workload. I didn't think it needed to be in this book. So I've probably got chapters that could actually develop into another book if I wanted to. But for me personally, I feel that's finished on such a great tone. I think it's a great way to finish the personal growth chapter of my life. I don't think I need to go over it again. If I decide to later, maybe. I don't know. I don't see it personally. I think we've done it. So then we've got this society one, then we've got the spiritual one. And if my life elevates in the future where I'm successful and I'm, even wealthy, I'll do a book on the other side of success. So we had everything's led towards that, and then I'll do a book on that. And it wouldn't be about boasting, preaching. It's just showing what life's like on the other side, and maybe that'll inspire people to really go after their dreams and show and see that anything is possible, So I think if we're going to do personal growth journey on that'd probably be the one that comes after, because it makes sense. If anyone, it makes sense. But anyway, it's going to be a very productive year. And I said that at the turn of the year, I said, I won't be making videos. I'm focusing this year on books. It changed because I did the book so quick. I had time to do videos. But when I'm working on my books, I do want to make that my priority. It doesn't mean videos won't come out. It just means it's not my priority while I'm working on something else. There is something else I can just discuss before I read some of this book. I had an email about a magazine potential interview thing. I'm not even familiar with the magazine situation or what it is, or whether it's like a scammy thing or not. But I don't know. I haven't responded yet. I only got it yesterday, but I was like, well. And it said about what it was. It was about leaders and entrepreneurs and things, and featured in a magazine or something. And I don't really know, because I just thought, to be honest, I don't think my work's been seen enough for me to be part of that conversation personally. And it's not like an inferiority complex. It's just saying, like, where have you seen to reach out to me? Where have you even seen my content? So that's kind of what I'm curious of. Like, how did you even come across my content to even reach out? First of all, so is it just a spam thing I just featured in some list of something, in some search history? Who knows? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to waste my time with the wrong people. I don't want to waste my time with people who have a different agenda anyway. And I'm not someone that really gives a shit about interviews and things. Promotion's good, getting your name out there and all that stuff. But I'm more happy to do things in the background. Just do this shit, I'll do my work, because that's what I want. I'm more focused on the work. I'm not interested in all the promotion and all that shit. I never have been. I know it's a necessity, and perhaps I will take to it really well when it comes to it. But yeah, at the moment, I don't know. So maybe it is legitimate. Maybe I do answer it, and maybe I do feature in some magazine in the future, and it opens the door to something else. Or maybe I just keep my head down and keep working on what I'm doing, because that's my priority anyway. Yeah, that's that. I've got no idea at the minute. My mind isn't even interested. That's the thing. Like, because I'm in my own little bubble, I like doing my own thing. I don't really like reporting to people and shit. I don't particularly trust many people either. I find most people have an agenda, so I'm not really phased. So anyway, this is what I've been doing with the thing. This website isn't there for some reason. This bit here doesn't seem to update properly, so I'm gonna have to sort that out, make it fresh. So we'll have to come on here later and do some updates on my website. But we come out of the website now, and we're gonna do a bit of reading of my latest book, Follow Your Dreams to Spark Your Soul. And after this, I'm going to be getting on with my upcoming book, and I'm excited. Like, really excited, because there's so many areas I can jump between with chapters. So, for instance, I've already said that if we talk about the humanitarian section, I've already said I'm featuring Princess Diana, I'm featuring Michael Jackson, and I haven't decided yet, I may do one on Jesus as well. Haven't decided yet. We'll see how the book develops and what I want to do. Yeah. Anyway, so there's so many areas with this book. The book with the next book. I'm so excited about it. Because that, for me, I see it as my contribution to the world. Very exciting. I'm going to take this out now and see where I'm up to. Do it for the beginning so I can. Right. So here it is. Follow your dreams to spark your soul. I don't write really thin books. I don't do anything like that. I do substantial books, like 300 and something pages. I think is what we've got saying here. Yeah, it's about 350 pages. Anyway, author's note. I'm going to try and do it. It's hard for me to do the microphone and this. We'll try. So follow your dreams to sparkle your soul. Author's note. This book can help people process and come to terms with life, from frustrations and even trauma to thriving and being free from the past. Life has a habit of challenging everyone, including myself. Success requires sustained progress, and when we invest in ourselves, it's only natural to expect steady growth. But in my case, when it comes to rewards, that's rarely been the case. However, in terms of personal growth, I'm always elevating. So success can be measured by specific metrics such as fame and wealth, personal growth and accomplishments, or perhaps even both. Personally, I feel I've achieved personal growth and accomplished a lot. And whilst fame doesn't interest me, even a small financial improvement eludes me, which bothers me immensely, considering the time and sacrifice I put into all of my projects. To sacrifice so much and still struggle in an area that significantly affects our quality of life feels personal. Of course, no one can be blamed for hardships, though there may be contributing factors. Something I won't forget is the lack of support for my efforts from most of the people I know. It's important to recognise who supports and who anchors us, so as not to hinder growth and progress. I find that regardless of what I do, or where I place my time and energy, success rarely follows. I often sacrifice time to exhaustion, juggling jobs whilst wanting to prioritise personal projects and other interests. Other times I suffer through financial instability, leaving jobs I've outgrown, working tirelessly to pursue my interests, achieve personal goals, and take significant time to help inspire others towards a better life. Yet I seem to get left behind, never succeeding beyond being proud of my accomplishments. Meanwhile, life doesn't wait for success to follow. Bills mount, time passes by, and it feels like significant parts of life gets missed, from holidays to experiences, because although money isn't the answer to everything, it is required for some things. With this book and the few that will follow, they came close to never being finished. I don't write this or share for pity, but to show people that whilst we may not attain the results we hoped for or expected, that doesn't mean continuing to invest in ourselves and following our passions isn't worthwhile. Sometimes we need to alter expectations and adjust the reasons for creating or doing things. Of course, I want my life to improve. However, holding back something that could help people or not investing time in it wouldn't be fair or proportionate to the suffering. People need help, and sacrificing here and there is worth the price of losing time to other things. Whilst perhaps unjust, I can handle having little and giving a lot. Ultimately, it goes beyond traditional ways of thinking or following the rat race to acquire wealth at any cost. The pursuit of fortune can distract us from contributing towards impactful change, regardless of whether life is long or short. What we do with the time we have matters. And while it's fair to seek positive experiences, it's equally or even more crucial to invest meaningful time into our personal growth, to evolve into our best selves, and even perhaps support others to do similarly. So there's a balance to be struck between seeking more and accepting ourselves as we are. I may not have all I wish for, but in myself I couldn't wish for more. And that says a lot, as there are many people who have some of the things I don't have, who are lost, struggling to find purpose, don't like or respect themselves or others. So they're frustrated with significantly healthier finances than me, and yet I wouldn't wish to trade places with them. And I think that says everything about the benefit of healing and investing in ourselves, even at the expense of missing out on money. Although I have my challenges, I know others suffer too. And whilst I have low days and lack motivation at times, the will to give people hope and positive direction supersedes everything. And so I hope this book brings healing to those ready to invest in themselves. I never regret anything. So even if this only helps one person, the time and sacrifice was worth it. And even if it so happens to be that I end up the only one reading my words, I'll be proud that I at least tried to contribute something positive towards humanity. And at the very least, it adds a seventh book to my collection. Perhaps not the most inspiring introduction, but I wanted to be open and transparent, as I always am, hoping it will inspire others to self-reflect and not give up on their goals and dreams. After all, whilst money can help in many ways and has a significant impact on our lives, it can also be a distraction and a curse. Timing is everything. We need to find deeper meanings to our lives than merely superficial gains. On a personal level, I've achieved something money can't buy, which only I could create because it came from me, which makes this priceless, worth more to me than money or recognition. And hopefully, others can find the spark in themselves to pursue their interests too. People probably don't realize the stress and pressure that comes from writing a book. One of the worst for me is the pressure of writing a chapter I consider perfect and having to either match or exceed it, which can lead to procrastination. It can feel like an impossible challenge, much like music artists who release albums with 3 hits and the rest of the songs don't quite hit the same. While some artists somehow create one hit after another, culminating in an impressive album. Perhaps they make it look easy, but it's far from it. In some instances, they have other writers contributing lyrics, but in my case, I'm the only one writing this book, and I hope I've done this justice. When projects are completed, I'm always pleasantly surprised by the outcome. I'm proud of what I accomplished. Back in 2020, I was about to release my second book, A Heartbroken Daughter, come across a writing community on social media. A few authors had released 6 to 10 books, which to me was surreal. I couldn't imagine being that consistent across time, writing quality, and content to develop a concept for more books. Yet here I am, a few years later with my 7th. I've now joined those very people with a collection of my own, which not too long ago seemed almost impossible. Hopefully my journey provides hope and potential for others to reach seemingly impossible targets. Time, consistency, focus, and discipline can do remarkable things. It all comes down to how much we want to achieve and the effort we are willing to put in to accomplish the goal. Anything is possible if our efforts match our dreams. Before I go on to this next chapter, only very briefly, I do realise that I haven't done the audiobook for this, and there's no guarantee I will. I haven't seen enough success from the previous audiobooks to garner whether it's worth my time. So I'm not sure yet. It probably will one day, but I'm not sure. It's not a priority for me. Chapter 1, Time. Time is one of the most precious things in life, yet most take it for granted, not recognizing that we never get it back. Let me just do something with this because I keep lifting the book high and I don't really mean to. I can't keep it that low. So we do it. Anyway, chapter 1, Time. Time is one of the most precious things in life, yet most take it for granted, not recognizing that we never get it back. Once it's gone, it's lost forever, and we only have a limited amount left. Seasons come and go and years pass by, and you'll be lucky to experience them 60 times or so in our lifetime. If someone loves Christmas, they only get to appreciate it once per year, the same for birthdays too. Sadly, many people don't bother to consider the ramifications of losing time. They find themselves in a never-ending rat race to acquire money at any cost. People lose their minds like it's the single most valuable thing in existence. But it's an illusion, and certainly not worth suffering for. As with anything, balance is key. But all rules go out the window when people contemplate wealth. Part of the problem is that people have a habit of spending their lives comparing themselves to others. So there's always something we misplace. So there's always something we misplace a want as a need, skewing reality with desire. Of course, having nice things and positive experiences are wonderful additions to our lifestyles, but things shouldn't define us, and we can get by fine with less. Most refuse to alter their expectations or living standards, or to be more modest, so they maintain the status quo of keeping up appearances. My primary concern is how much time people lose in the pursuit of wealth, fame, and privilege. Not because those aren't worth investing in, but because people rarely know when to stop sacrificing other aspects of life in the process. It's like gamblers who invest everything they have for the potential to gain more, and they lose any semblance of rational thought for the risks and consequences. Most people would agree that gambling is risky and ruins many lives, yet the vast majority wouldn't consider their pursuit of wealth and success in a similar vein. One could ask why, but it's rather obvious. Working ourselves to death, like literally to the end of life, is socially accepted, even encouraged and expected. But most would consider gambling dangerous and disrespectful to a partner or family if someone has one, because it selfishly risks other stability for an addictive and obsessive pursuit to win. Of course, addictions go far deeper than the obvious desire to win, so I'm not trying to minimize or ostracize people with genuine difficulties which need to be overcome. However, the comparison between addiction and the rat race for wealth bears similarities. Both require healing, change of direction, and accountability for behaviors that are neither healthy nor viable long-term options in the pursuit of happiness. There's nothing inherently wrong with wanting to improve circumstances. Investing time in improvements and growth would be a great use of time, especially compared to people stagnating, causing problems in others' lives, wasting time on addictive distractions, and so on. But again, balance is the key. Life has far more meaning than the things we have, and there are so many experiences and achievements we can encapsulate within a single lifetime. I think it's crazy that people forego their freedom and potential in the pursuit of money. To put it into perspective, let's say someone goes to college after finishing school. They attend nursery at around 3 years old, and from then on, they're stuck in the education system until at least 16 to 18 years old. Not everyone gets to live a long life. Sadly, some die young, others middle aged, and a few make it beyond retirement, but it's not a given. So, realistically, at best, we spend a third of our lives attending school, stuck doing homework during our spare time in the evenings and weekends. And towards the end, we face further burdens from exam pressure and decisions about the future. Even when we have no real world experience to help us determine our options, we still have to make abrupt decisions because time doesn't wait for us to be ready. Unless we force moments to pause and reflect, life will move faster than expected. It's okay to take time out to rediscover ourselves, pivot, and ponder our next move. Rather than force ourselves to keep moving forward on everyone else's timeline, we can decide to do things differently. What's so bad about taking a year off after school finishes to make better decisions on whether we want to pursue further study? And if so, what subjects? And what would it lead to? Or take time to plan travel to see the world? Or make that leap into work or venture into creative pursuits? After school, I immediately went on to study IT at college towards computer programming. However, after a single year of studying an intermediate information technology course, I'd had enough of studying. It had to stop at some point. Spending the only part of life we've ever known up until that point stuck in education feels restrictive and mundane. It's not for everyone. Had I had an awareness of my options and a bit of life experience first, looking back knowing more about myself today as someone in their 40s, if I weren't on the path I've carved myself with promoting personal growth, sharing my story through books and videos, I'd have likely chosen to either study psychology to become a therapist or something similar, or study law to be a lawyer, so I can help people fight for their freedom and stand up against injustice. By the time I finished school, neither of those were on my radar, and they weren't in my 20s either. So being expected to make life decisions as we finish school only suits a select few. Most don't know what they want. They just pick subjects they're proficient in or could be useful for further study in multiple directions to suit a variety of courses. However, it shouldn't be so surprising when people decide that they're not prepared to spend any more time studying. Everyone has more options than that most believe they do. Yet so many people find themselves bound by tradition and family pressures. Although it's hard to stand alone, righteous in original thought, it's okay to be different and carve our own future, not follow one set by others. We experience too much pressure and a sense of suppressed freedom from a young age through to adulthood. We develop with the expectation that we must always be busy, and anything less is lazy. But is it? Is it reasonable to expect people to be workhorses or learning mules forever? It doesn't seem right to me, and I'm surprised that others consider it normal to lose themselves to others' expectations and flawed traditions. Because most people work full time, 40 hours per week, and some work even more doing overtime they consider normal. If anything, overtime should be a short term fix to repair financial issues or perhaps contribute towards a holiday or gift, but it certainly shouldn't be a lifestyle choice. I'm often amused when people make excuses for working ridiculously long hours. Those people are usually the worst culprits for pressurizing everyone else to follow their lead. And they think anyone who works fewer than 60 hours a week is lazy. But think how little time's left per week at that rate, and for what? To have things, a nice house and luxuries. People live like mules, heavily in debt because they misplace their happiness in the wrong things, and they seek to justify poor decisions by expecting others to work the same hours they do. It's an entirely flawed and delusional way to live life, which is rather insane. When I'm working on projects such as this book, I put in a lot of hours, quite often from morning through to night, with a few breaks in between, but it's a lot of time for sure. However, it's on my schedule, not one imposed on me, and it's only for the duration of the book, not prolonged suffering after. I'm wise enough to write about what I know, not about what I don't, so it flows and comes easily to me. With focused discipline, I can complete each book I've done to date within 1 to 3 months. I may challenge myself in future to pursue other works which would perhaps take me considerably longer to complete, but that would be a choice, not one others demand of me. Another reason for the high workload in a short space of time is that I'm impatient. Once I witness significant progress, I want the physical copy finished and printed. So delays bother me because they cause personal frustration. If we consider a typical year of mine, leading up to this book, my seventh overall, I spent a good few months recording unscripted, off the cusp video content. Again, talking about what I already knew, which amounted to between 1 and 3 hours per day, depending on how many videos I recorded. I had many hours free to play video games, watch movies and TV shows, read and listen to music. Effectively, I was chilling out and relaxing between videos. In 2025, I prioritized creating video content, but I still worked on multiple book projects that I never finished. So there are months when I'm more productive than others, but no definitive routine or schedule unless I feel it's required for a specific project and outcome. I float in and out of traditional jobs because they don't sustain my interest and frustrate me through repetition and often inept leadership, with disorganized chaos or preferential treatment towards ambitious suck ups. Workplaces can be as political and scandalous as actual politics, and I don't do false niceties. If I don't like something or someone, they tend to know, and I have more favourable ways I wish to spend my time than be stuck suffering. Money or not, I won't keep myself miserable. So I'm sure that because I leave jobs, most people would consider me impulsive and unstable. But I think things out very carefully. I just have a quick mind that calculates multiple outcomes swiftly, so I don't need to keep myself suffering to ponder a decision. I would never allow myself to feel like a prisoner for anything. I consider freedom and choice as a privilege most people don't have, and it's priceless. For me, it's better than money. Anyone could strive to have more time for themselves, but because they're terrified of losing what they have and struggling, their fear of the unknown holds them back. So they make excuses as to why they can't change, and go even further to criticize anyone who has the audacity to step away from the status quo, to pave their own path towards happiness and freedom. I've never conformed to traditional standards of living because, from a young age, I recognize the flaws within society and the past. History has rarely been kind to humanity. So, what makes people feel that following traditions will make their lives a happy experience? All too often, people die miserable, exhausted, and frustrated. And more than anything, they suffer with so many regrets. Not a single regret, but many. I don't expect people to. Wait. I don't expect people to like me. I'm a rogue with a high tolerance for suffering. So I can cope with adversity better than most. But that's not necessarily a good thing because I may take unnecessary risks that, looking back, could have been avoided. For instance, because I'm impatient when I'm working traditional jobs and have a book project in production, I can't handle the monotony of performing simple tasks for money when I have what I consider a more substantial task to complete. I perhaps recklessly leave jobs to pursue my dreams, but sometimes in hindsight, I recognize that both could be accomplished simultaneously. Think about how much easier life would be with a steady job and writing the books in my spare time. It could have afforded me more stability and even luxury. However, I would have been exhausted with hardly any rest between work commitments and the book project. It's hardly beneficial to be burnt out through exhaustion. Not only does our physical health suffer, but our mental health too. I'd like to add that people laughed when I initially took risks to write my first books, but perhaps not expecting me to amount to or have much compared to their luxuries. But I've never cared what others have, and I don't feel insecure during struggles. I always maintain a vision of my future, and that never fades. Here I am now, with a body of work covering thousands of pages across multiple books, and I've created many videos. I've carved out something of a legacy that money cannot buy, and I don't have a single regret, because I think through every decision I make with the sole intention of being proud of myself and building a better future for everyone, whilst of course making the most of the present by literally giving myself time to be free, rather than mindlessly stumbling through life, wasting the time I have. My plans are to dedicate myself to passion projects and helping people, as I already do, whilst, in equal measure, finding at least as much time for myself through relaxation, hobbies, travel, and experiences. I don't intend to spend my entire life working ridiculous hours, following the rat race to an untimely, regrettable death. I'd happily earn less and gain time, but that's just me. I don't fear the end of life, and perhaps that's because I haven't wasted the time I have. Others find themselves clutching at the few moments they have left, praying it never ends, because they forgot to live in the first place. I can't decide people's lives for them. All I can do is share mine and let them reflect on what they want and what they're prepared to sacrifice to be happy. Is it money or time? Or perhaps someone smart could find a way to have both. Wouldn't that be a life well lived? Chapter 2: Self Improvement. There's nothing worse than feeling trapped by someone else's lifestyle choices and their ideals. It's important that we live authentically on our terms, being ourselves in every part of our lives. There are bound to be frustrating moments where it gets challenging. But even through a crisis, if we are ourselves, there's no real loss. Those with an identity crisis struggle the most. They become so detached from reality they fail to enjoy themselves, and life loses meaning. How can that be normal? Going deep enough, most identity issues are psychological, either from a young age through family trauma or from being impressionable by society. We all experience so much throughout our lifetimes, so it's hardly surprising that some things affect us more deeply than others, and the impact can differ widely between individuals. So, what may seem inconsequential to one person may be significant to someone else. Over time, those differences separate us, causing some to go within and isolate by distancing themselves, while others seek a new community. When people struggle to identify who they are, it's almost impossible to ever feel comfortable or relaxed. Imagine existing, Imagine existing within a shell of yourself, feeling an empty void. That wouldn't seem real and it's not sustainable. Being numb to everything around us because nothing's relatable and so detached from feeling anything must be an exhausting existence. What many don't realize is that we don't need to internalize everything someone says about us. We don't have to take everything so personally. Hurt people can make wild statements to vent their frustrations. So they have angry outbursts, and maybe they're not happy with their lives. To think that someone would suffer for something someone said, not only in the moment, but through substantial periods or even an entire lifetime, is deeply alarming. If only people could go back to their childhoods, give themselves a hug, embrace their quirks, and throw themselves into their interests with a protective shield around them so others' misery and anger don't spill onto them. Imagine how that person would develop and that would look like as an adult. Of course, that wouldn't solve everyone's issues, as I'm sure some people are born with genetically based psychological disorders with unregulated mood swings and an unstable temper. However, I don't think for one moment that most people can't be cured or couldn't have developed differently. Whilst we can't change the past, we can alter the present to improve future opportunities. If anyone considers me and how I am, they will recognize that I'm strong and resilient, and it shouldn't be surprising why. It's rather obvious. I'm stubborn and independent, and I don't allow others to dictate or influence me. That doesn't make me better than anyone. It just means I'm less likely to be susceptible to the things that affect others. With that in mind, it makes sense not to concern ourselves with others' opinions and focus on ourselves. Only then can we be in alignment with our personality. There will always be someone perpetuating their frustrations on everyone else or acting like they have a perfect life. But it's all for nothing. It doesn't matter. Hopefully, people are living wonderful lives. But whether they are or not makes no difference to our circumstances. Investing in ourselves isn't wishing bad on anyone else. It's prioritizing our needs, focusing on being the main character in our story, which we all are. It's often characterized as selfish to prioritize ourselves and not give to others. But I don't think that's the case. It's that belief system that's got so many people in limbo, not knowing what the right thing to do is in each situation. The reality is we can't give from an empty cup. So in my case, foregoing my own personal growth and success for someone else makes no sense. Why should I suffer at every turn because someone else feels that their needs and desires are more significant? It's an entirely unbalanced ideology. Of course, it's nice to help people. Being supportive is a wonderful trait. But far too often, people expect us to sacrifice for them, and that expectation becomes habitual. So what once was occasional becomes a regular occurrence. So now life's on hold, covering for someone else's needs rather than our own. It doesn't make sense. I would suggest supporting people when we can, provided it doesn't impede our own goals and needs, or when something is urgent, such as an emergency. However, we need to make time to invest in ourselves and not let people take us for granted. Consider this book for a moment. Once I'm locked in and focused, I wouldn't allow anyone to derail me or hinder progress. I'm too focused and I get frustrated by delays. I'm someone who, when I have a target, it must get completed before I can relax and enjoy myself doing other things. So, if I let anything distract or consume my time, it only adds to the already stressful workload. Words often flow to me with ease, but there's still a constant pressure on myself, and writing enough to fill a book is no easy feat. It requires focus and discipline. My daughter has my undivided attention. When she calls, we can talk for hours, and sometimes we do video chats which last the entire day. Unless it's an emergency, if I'm fully focused on a book project, I won't even allow her to derail me. That's not me dismissing her or making her any less of a priority in my life. It's acknowledging that 1 month of absolute focus can get the project finished, or many months of stop-start interruptions, because I allowed people to distract me with things that could quite comfortably wait until I'm finished. It's not as though we completely detach and don't communicate when I'm working, as we still send text messages, but there's an understanding that sacrifice is needed to get something finished. Fortunately, my daughter is respectful and understanding. It's not as big a deal as some others would make it if they were in a similar situation. And that's the problem with modern society. Everyone wants to play the victim, never respecting that others have their own lives to live too. Hopefully, readers enjoy this book, but just think about it. Had I not established boundaries and worked hard to complete it, it wouldn't exist. Financial pressure towards the end of the completion was intense. There was every reason to slow down, find a job, and write and edit in my spare time, whenever that would be. But I know how exhausting it is to work full time and then spend rest of the time on projects, when would there be time to rest? It's not easy going without, especially knowing that financial burdens increase with each week and month. It doesn't get easier, only harder, more frustrating and demoralizing. After all, we have basic expectations of quality of life, things we want to enjoy and treat ourselves to. It's easy to lose hope when nothing seems to work out, but sometimes it's better to sacrifice for a better future. I could work after finishing the book, improve my finances, and enjoy more experiences. Struggles are rarely as bad as we think. Nothing lasts forever. Things only happen because we make them happen. It's easy for people to consider life simple for some and challenging for others, but we all have the same number of hours in a day. It's just that some make the most of the time they have and make better decisions, which benefit their circumstances, while others make excuses or expect other people to solve all of their problems. We aren't responsible for solving all the issues in the world or the problems of those we know. Although I dedicate a significant portion of my life to doing those very things through books and videos, that doesn't mean I don't stop to breathe and allow myself moments to detach and enjoy my life. I believe I have a life purpose to help people overcome challenges, invest in themselves, and pursue their dreams. And it's my responsibility to figure out how best to serve, not to let people demand more of me than I'm willing to give. I used to give so much of my time to people who often abused and took me for granted. I eventually grew tired of people in general, especially their lack of respect, and found it healthier for me to help people passively rather than giving so much of my time to them. Books are a great example of that. Rather than help people on an individual basis, which, let's be honest, would never end, there are too many people to help. I chose to document and journal how I cope with situations, how I perceive the world, and how people can improve their lives. By taking a few months at a time to work on and complete a single project, whether it does or doesn't, I know it can help as many people as the books need. I don't need to be face to face with people to relay my messages, and that works well for me. So I found a balanced approach to helping people. Something often missed, especially by people who have struggled or continue to have issues in their lives, is that they can help people by sharing their story. It's easy to feel less than others, inferior or even inadequate, but it's the authenticity of someone's story that people need. Hearing from a therapist who has no real world experience doesn't exactly make them relatable, but knowing firsthand what someone's been through, the hardships, challenges, and the finer details would mean more to people than they would know. Much like anything, everything comes down to perspective. If we go through life with a victim mindset, we'll always believe we're victims. However, if we accept that we're survivors of something, then we've survived. A moment doesn't need to define us. We can move on and use the past as a learning moment. And for some, they could use what they've learned to teach others. And that's a beautiful gift to the world. Although it's a huge step to share ourselves with the world, especially vulnerabilities, it's also therapeutic, not only for ourselves, but also for others. We may feel lost, vulnerable, and fragmented at times, but we should never feel detached from our core self. Who we are is fundamental to our identities. When I speak on topics, it's never to mould or sculpt people into versions of me, but to put a mirror up to people for them to see various aspects of themselves. And then it's for them to determine whether improvements are needed or perhaps reinforce an existing belief. Either way, we're all responsible for our lives and how events unfold. People require healing, and I've done my best to document and share my healing processes, outlook on life, and everything in between to help inspire growth in others. Everyone experiences frustrations. I'm no different. After all, there's usually something missing in each of our lives, so there's always something to strive for. Life doesn't end because it's unfair. Everything happens in chapters. Sometimes we need to go through some things to learn, build character, perhaps even share with others. Whatever the outcome, I would always encourage people to follow their heart. Then they can't go wrong. So I'm only going to do the 2 chapters plus the author. I'm not going to go on to the third chapter. Personally, I feel a bit exhausted. My back's hurting. This chair is not very comfortable. Oh, great. The camera's gone mental anyway. So thankfully we've got one camera working. God knows why that's paused. I don't know when that froze. Probably when I said I'm probably going to stop now. Weird. I'm not sure we're going to be able to get that back. What a stupid camera. Wait a minute. Well, I got no idea why it's playing up. It's flashing now. But thankfully, you can still hear me. I got no idea. That's never happened before, but it's weird when I said I'm not going to do that chapter. It just freaking turned off. Now it's flashing and going weird on me. It might come back. It's gone green. Well, we're back. That was well weird. Yeah, I mean, it's quite long. So what I'd say is we've done 2 chapters there. There are... Well, final thoughts at the back. And then I can't remember. I think it's about 28. Yeah, 28 chapters. We've done 2. There's 28 chapters plus a final thoughts at the end as well. There's plenty there to go through for people. Like I say, I think it's going to help a lot of people, this book, when people finally get around to getting it. And that's the whole point of everything I've done, you know. Of course, I want to improve my life. But even as I said in the beginning there, even if my life's hard as a consequence, it's worth it, you know. I don't say that for effect. I've gone off camera now. I don't say that for the sake of it, you know. It's like, yeah, I'll be resentful sometimes because life's not fair. How the hell am I supposed to get through? I've gone a decade like this, you know. So although I'd say, oh, how am I supposed to get through this period? I always have. I always have. And look what I'm accomplishing. So the whole point really is when we begin the journey to improve our lives, it comes with sacrifice and hardships, and it's ridiculously challenging. People around us will say, "Oh, you're crazy," or "That's reckless," or how can you possibly do that?" There'll always be negative Nancy's. There'll always be someone that doesn't have the vision you have. I always had this vision for myself. Once I started this journey, I got really into it. I always had the vision of myself, like the projects I'll probably likely do, how many books there'll be, all these things. I had that. And people thought I was crazy. And it's just a case of, no, it's just bigger than the money, you know, it's bigger than all that. Yeah, of course I want those things. But like I've said so many times, if that doesn't come, I'm still doing what I feel called to do with my life. So let's say my life ended. Let's say you only had this year. And let's say you was in hospital, you got a problem, you know, you're like, you know, you're looking at the end. Would I lay there thinking, God, I never got to enjoy what I did. Like, I never got to get the benefits of that. I never got to be wealthy. We wouldn't even be thinking any of that shit. You wouldn't. In the final moments, you're not going to sit there. If I wouldn't, anyway, I know some people probably would because it's just so materialistic. I'd be thinking of the contribution I had and the fact that I took the time to do what I did. And hopefully that will help people after I'm gone. So I left a legacy. And I think personally, that's just more significant than the things I could have had and other experiences. Yeah, of course, it'd be nice to look back at more holidays and travel and other things. That'd be a beautiful thing to have in memory. But me doing those things isn't particularly contributing to the world, is it? You know, it's a nice experience for me and it'd be a nice memory to hold. But what did I do with my life? Now, if you do that, if you're like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, traveling and stuff. But when I think about like what I've done, I've took a period of my life to contribute to the world. So even if, for instance, it ended here with the work I've done, not my life. Let's say my work ended here at the end of the year, like no more books for a period. It's like, I'm happy with that because I don't intend to write every year for the remainder of my life. I think at that point, 9 books is quite impressive. You know, so if I say I've dedicated a decade of my life, nearly a decade, not quite actually, but let's say it was nearly a decade of my life to do this, and I've got 9 books to my name. I think, wow, that was a great period of your life, you know, and that's kind of what I want people to realize is that things happen over time. You build towards a legacy or whatever you want to, you know, obviously don't have to do it to the extreme that I've done, but you build towards things, you know, and of course, once you get to the end of that, more or less, people then understand the vision, don't they? You know, earlier on they were criticizing me, earlier on they're judging, and now you can't deny it. It can't be denied because I've shown time and time again the consistency and I'd say the quality too. So yeah, I mean it speaks volumes, doesn't it? But maybe it didn't speak volumes before. But again, I'm the one that had the vision. So that's the thing, like people see it at the end, and it makes sense to them, but they don't realize the way they see it now is how I saw it back then. See, some people just don't have the same vision. It's fine. But don't give up on your own dreams and just live a fulfilling life. That's the best thing we can do, you know? And like I say, I'm making the most of this year. Really, really making the most of this year. I've got dreams, ambitions, and I'm you know, hopefully career opportunities will come in different directions as well. And it just like elevates and I just start reaping what I sowed, you know, really getting some good experiences. But even if I don't have those beautiful moments, and I still was just frustrated this year as I was last year, it's fine. I would have released 3 books this year, even if my finances don't improve. And it's stressful in so many areas. I'm a machine. I'll just keep pushing on. So even if debts mount, pressures come at me, I can guarantee you these books are still going to see the light of day. Nothing's slowing me down. If people want to harass me to cover debts that I'm struggling with for whatever reason, harass me, mate. It's at the back of my. I'm aware it's there, but you're not going to stop me doing this. And that's the thing. I don't let pressures stop me performing. So, like, if you saw my content, for instance, I didn't talk about some of the issues in my life and the frustrations. I didn't talk about that. You just saw me talking on camera and performing, like doing what I do. You probably wouldn't realize the level of pressure that's on me all the time because I don't let it affect me in any way. I know it exists. If there's nothing I can do about it at the moment, there's nothing I can do about it at the moment. It's not going to affect me. So I just get on. It's not that I'm ignorant to that because, again, that's an important lesson to take, isn't it? We have to be accountable. So I deal with what I can. So let's say I don't have enough per month to cover every bill. Then I just have to juggle it, don't I? Pay what I can, focus on the priority payments, and then maybe juggle the other ones a little bit. Maybe that one has to get missed 1 month, so you can pay the other one, and that one to fall back 1 month, so I pay that. You just got to find a way to juggle it. You can't get blood out of a stone, you know. So if I don't have enough to go around, then I have to find a way to manage what I can. And that's what I do on a monthly basis. It's not easy. And, you know, like I still treat myself to things here and there because I'm not going to be miserable the whole time either. So, of course, there's accountability. We have to pay our way. But at the same time, those companies, for instance, they make so much in profits anyway. I don't really feel too bad, but I'm not doing it on purposely to avoid anything. If I had the true means to cover everything, then I would. But life's not as simple as that, you know. And the thing is, if I'm not going to look out for me, who will? Those companies don't care about my well-being. So let's say I wanted to treat myself. Let's say something as simple as a takeaway would just make me feel good that week. Life's hard. I just want a takeaway. It just give me something just to feel good. You know, depending on the resources and stuff and how important the next bill is. But you know, I'm just saying that for me, even if things are tight, I will still do things when I feel I want it to make me feel better. Because I'm not going to make myself miserable throughout the year just because every month is a challenge. No, I'm going to have things. And then because I maybe have this and have that, people might have an impression that, oh, you're doing better than you say you are. No, I'm not. I just take risks. You know, I just make sure that I'm happy and fulfilled, even in extreme poverty at times. So that's it. But of course, our situation can change on an instant. I'm not stupid. So, for instance, this could be my last video for a month or two. I'm not saying it will be, but let's say it's the last video for a month or two. Anything can change in my life in the interim, couldn't it? And it might be that I come back on camera and I talk about that. You know, this has happened. It hasn't happened yet. There's no indication that it is, but that's it. I mean, like I said, I had that email about that opportunity thing, but I'm not sure how genuine that is or like what really the opportunity is and things like that. So I'm more interested in doing my work than promoting shit, to be totally honest. But everything matters, doesn't it? But anyway, I'm hoping that book helps people, you know, and I expect the next one too. I expect all of them to help people, to be totally honest.